Well, welcome back once again to another Johnny Torch live broadcast. The only way to spend your Saturday here with us on the Johnny Torch program. High atop the fair metropolis below, we stand overlooking in stately Torch Tower. Another hot one, so this time I'm fanning myself, not with a piece of junk mail, but with a copy of The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon, Private Eye. Yes, you too can get your own copy, your own little grubby paws on a copy of The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon, Private Eye. The self-same one that you see, the icon in the middle of the screen right there is the one I'm holding. Check out the link in the description below, and you will be taken to my website, and you will find plentiful ways to order and plentiful products to order for The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon, Private Eye. It is my passion project. I honestly don't think a man has devoted more hours and time and just sheer dedication to a project than I have. I seriously don't, because it's seriously a one-man operation. I do almost everything. I'm nearly at the point where I'm going to hand it off to have the files formatted and so on and so forth. We're probably still at least 2 weeks away from that. Of course, the holiday weekend is coming up next weekend, so I don't expect to really have it into the hands of my producer, editor, or whatever you'd want to designate him as. But pretty soon, it's getting there, and it's been almost a year. I can't remember when the last issue came out. It was around, I don't know, it's been quite a while now. It's been almost a year. So this book has really taken its toll work-wise. I've gotten a lot of man hours put into this. I do all the writing, drawing, inking, digital inking, coloring, lettering, balloon placement. Oh man, I've done it all. And it is finally, I think, at least in the post-production stages, where I can just clean up a few things before getting it into the eager hands of said populace. I'm still waiting on when I'm going to find out any more information about getting another convention. As I said so far, still Granite State. Granite Con is the only one that I've been confirmed. If you check out their website, you'll see Bullets Bourbon Comics there. Yay! I applied to another one. I have not heard back from them yet. Maybe they are peeved that I couldn't give them a PDF of the cover of the book. I don't know. They give you like these little boxes to fill, and they say, well, put in all your information, your website, your this, your that. That's fine. I can do all that. But then they want me to put like a PDF file in like this blank line. I don't know how to do that without sending an attachment, an email or something. It's difficult to do in a form. And I don't know if that's what sunk me from getting this other convention. But still on the table is me doing the flea market appearances as I did last year. I haven't done them yet, honestly, because from what I've heard, the flea markets this year are, at least locally here, are not very busy. And, you know, I saw some decent crowds last year. But I think that's, of course, because of the pandemic and there was not too many things open. And so an open-air flea market was more busy than the options people have now, again, thankfully. Need I go into that? But anyway, yeah, so the work on issue 8 is nearly done. I'm hoping probably sometime next month I'll get it off to my editor, have him print up the files or assemble the files, and I'll get them sent to the printer. Probably all taking place sometime next month. But again, it's a process that I've sort of underestimated, I suppose. I didn't think this book was going to take quite as long. I said it was going to take me until probably May, and it may at the latest, and here we are at the end of June, so I guess I can't really kick being a month late. I don't know. Can I call it late? I don't know. Maybe just a little bit slower than I thought I was going to take on this book, but not much longer. Also want to ask you to check out the link in the description below for my Twitter page. You can check out any and all upcoming events that I will be appearing in, or when the next video will drop. that's all on Twitter. I always post it shortly before I do one of these videos. Of course, didn't do a video last week. Let's see, Hunter Iggy. Nice to see Hunter is back on the show with us in the chat. Johnny Torch, can I send you the link to what Mikey Sutton said yesterday on the YouTube video? Sure, I guess so. I mean, I don't think I'll be able to look at it now while I'm doing the show live, but I'll be happy to check it out, you know, after the show and either leave a comment in the comment section if you like, or maybe address it in the next live stream. We'll see. But sure, you can send me the link and I'll be happy to check out anything. I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about with Mikey Sutton, but because I've never heard of him. But like I said, I'll be happy to look into it and let you know. Let's see. On my Twitter page. All right, I'll check it out when the show's over. As soon as the show's over, I got a big show today, so got a lot of stuff to get to. And but I'll be sure to get back to that and check it out. The other thing I wanted to say, also I wanted to mention, is we didn't do a show last week because I didn't feel like there was really enough stuff to really talk about. You're in for a big show today. There's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about today. I want you also to bear with me because I'm getting over a cold. It's been a pretty bad week for me, all things being honest. So if my voice sounds different, or if I, you know, maybe don't quite sound quite up to production levels of broadcast excellence, I'm not making excuses. I'm still going to give 100% effort, but just so you know, it's been a very bad week, and it's been a bad week on all fronts. So if you're a praying type, if you're inclined to pray, please be sure to include me in your prayers and my family. All right, so with that out of the way, with all of this out of the way, the only way to spend your Saturday, we know what you're here for. You're here to hear the latest news in pop culture. This is what we do here on the Johnny Torch Live broadcast. We've got all kinds of stuff to talk about. I am going to start... where should we start? Man, let me talk about the trailers that came out, because that really shouldn't take me that long. Let's see. I got so many images, it's going to take me a while to wrangle them. Give me a second here. The Snake Eyes trailer, let's take a look at that first. Not too many people really talking about the Snake Eyes trailer, and for good reason. I have to admit, it's probably, of the trailers that were dropped this week, it's the least exciting to me. They completely rechanged the character, the origin. They race changed Snake Eyes. He was like a blonde guy in the original G.I. Joe comics. He was, of course, mute. All these things were completely retconned here. In this film, he's Asian, and there's all kinds of background tinkering going on. I don't know. Looking at the trailer, I don't know. He apparently, they show the early friendship with Storm Shadow, his training, the 3 challenges, I suppose, he has to endure or whatever. The meeting with Scarlet, who I believe is the only other G.I. Joe character in this beyond Baroness. They got Baroness in it. And let me see. I don't know. I just don't feel like this is hardcore G.I. Joe. A lot of people make. Let me see. A lot of people make some unkind overtures to the original G.I. Joe films. They weren't perfect, but I do feel like they at least kept somewhere within the boundaries of what G.I. Joe was actually all about. I mean, I remember hearing the commentary how slavish the director was trying to keep Snake Eyes in character, that he wasn't a jokester, that he didn't take the helmet off, the mask, he didn't speak. So in this case, where they just completely rewrote the character, this is like they're testing the waters. They want to see if they can get another G.I. Joe reboot off the ground. They want to remake the franchise, reboot it with a next gen of actors, And I'm not sure I want to support it if they're not going to, be faithful to the characters and be faithful to the lore. So this might be a pass for me. I'm not sure. I'm still debating it. I think it's probably going to be a pass for me. I think I'm not going to probably take a look at this one in theaters. But this, of course, is Scarlett. She looks pretty good. The actress. What's her name? Weaving, something like that. But let me know what you think in the comments below. I wasn't overly impressed by the Snake Eyes trailer, and I'm probably going to pass if I have to make that decision right now. All right, let's see. Hunter Iggy says, Johnny Torch. Mikey Sutton said yesterday that David Zaslav, when he takes control of Discovery WB, is going to bring back the Snack Snyder, the Zack Snyder version of Justice League. Let's see. He said why the Snyder version gets more love than Whedon's version. He wants to replace the Whedon version with the Snyder cut for the reboot of the DCEU, and Walter Hamada wants a female Terry McGinnis in the DCEU. That doesn't sound good. I'll be honest with you. I'm not crazy about the Snyder version. I mean, I haven't seen the Snyder version of the Justice League, but I haven't liked basically anything Zack Snyder's done in the DCEU. That's not a secret, I'm sure. But I'll look into the story more, and see. And a female Terry McGinnis. I'm not really a big fan of Batman Beyond to begin with. I don't dislike it. I don't, I think there's a place for it, but I've never been too excited for it. I think maybe if they do with Michael Keaton as the older Batman and you want to do a Batman Beyond story, I guess that's fine. But I mean, I would really rather they focus on getting a good Batman movie made, a good DCEU Batman movie made, which, to be honest with you, I don't think we still have. I don't really have anything against Ben Affleck, but I really didn't think that version of Batman was any good. I'm not looking forward to the Robert Pattinson version. So honestly, if all we have now in the near future to look forward to is a Batman Beyond movie with Michael Keaton and a male Terry McGinnis, I would count myself fortunate. I'd be happy with that. So thank you, Hunter. I'll take a look into that after the show, and maybe we'll talk about it next time. If there's enough to talk about, I might do another show tomorrow. Who knows? All right, another brief look here. Let's just take a couple of seconds to look at the Suicide Squad trailer. Again, there's not a whole lot of new information here with the Suicide Squad. I'm just going to show a couple of images. Let's see. Of course, there's Harley Quinn. I'll talk just briefly about it while you look at these images. They show Idris Elba, of course, as Bloodshot. Is that his name? Or Bloodsport? I can't remember. But it's an actual character that in the comics, I had this comic when I was a kid, that he shot Superman with a kryptonite bullet. And they mentioned that in the trailer. A lot of people, I don't know, they kind of lost their mind about that. I don't know why, because it did happen in the comics. Maybe because they didn't show it happening on screen. People, they just didn't like it. I don't understand it. But, it looks like it's the more serious trailer of the 2 or 3. Is this the second or third trailer? I don't remember. Of the 2 or 3 trailers, this is probably the most serious one, where they're trying to show some plot and stuff. Apparently, the story is going to be similar to Deadshot, where his daughter, I guess, is sort of what they're holding over his head, and he has to be part of Task Force X if he ever wants to see her again. And, some images here. I'm guessing this is near the end of the movie, to be honest with you. I have a feeling, if I'm going to just make a wild guess, these 3 guys and Harley Quinn are going to be the only ones that survive. I think that's what's going to happen. Maybe I think King Shark is going to be a favorite. So he might survive. Also, Ratcatcher. That's another thing. I think they're trying to build up, I think also in the trailer, this relationship between Bloodshot or Bloodsport or whatever. Idris Elba, we'll just say Idris Elba. They're trying to show like this relationship between him and Ratcatcher, so sort of a surrogate father-daughter type thing. I think that's going to be the heart of the story. I think it's going to be something that he puts himself on the line to save her. One or the other will probably die. It could be that Idris Elba dies and Ratcatcher survives. I'm not sure. If I was to put money on it, I don't know. I would probably say they both survive. But I don't know. It could be either way. I think, like I said, that there really isn't going to be too many survivors at the end of this film. Viola Davis, of course, returns. There's Ratcatcher, of course. Viola Davis returns, and, she's phenomenal in this role. I'm glad they brought her back as Amanda Waller. And there's a scene, I don't have the image here, but there's a scene of Harley Quinn underwater with a lot of rats, which I think that's Margot Robbie putting her practicing holding her breath to good use again. Remember, she did that for Suicide Squad, and she learned how to hold her breath and pushed that breath holding to unknown limitations. But she's really something. She's quite a character, on screen and off. This is David Del Masterson, of course, as I can't remember this guy's name either. But he's going to be interesting to watch. I like the gimmick on this guy with all the different colored spots and stuff. It looks like a piece of that candy that they have on a piece of sticky card, and you peel them off and eat them. So again, this is another one. I'm not going to go into my spiel all over again. This is another film I'm probably going to pass in theaters because I don't like their making rated R content out of superhero films. That's something I'm still a stickler against. Here's sort of a King Shark looking worse for wear. And Starro, of course, is the villain here, or the villains, I guess. It's an invasion of Starros or something. I don't know. I kind of feel like, I think I've said it before, but I kind of feel like that maybe they could have went with another villain so they could save Starro for the Justice League. But then again, I don't know if we're ever going to get the Justice League again. It's going to be, I don't know. I have a feeling what WB wants to do is to really reboot the franchise, but they don't know how to do it yet because they still have, the Jason Momoa Aquaman is still canon. We still have Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, apparently only getting one more movie maybe, but she's still going to be in the franchise for the foreseeable future. We have Harley Quinn, of course. Margot Robbie is still, burning it up as Harley Quinn. How do you completely reboot the franchise? I think if what they do is to try to do what they did on WB and make their own version of Crisis, that might be the way to do it. I think they're trying to do it in the form of Flashpoint, but if they just go all the way and count it as a Crisis movie, where you'll have all these guest appearances and this and that. And of course, they even suggested that maybe Grant Gustin, TV's Flash, might be in that movie. Anyway, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. But anyhow, yes, some a lot of people like this look on Harley. This is a lot more conventional. This is the Harley Quinn look of, well, reasonably the Harley Quinn look of the comics and the animated series. So, not a bad look. Not a bad look. I still think that the woke element is still fearing the male gaze, and that's why you'll see her continually getting more and more covered up as the films progress. And, again, there's a time and place for everything. I imagine her going on a mission here. Maybe she wouldn't be wearing the short shorts and tank top like the first movie, but if she did it in the first movie, I don't know why that would change here. But it's a good costume. It's a good costume. I'm not going to begrudge it. All right, so let me know what you think here in the comments below. All right, let's see what Hunter has to say. David Zaslav wants a male Terry McGinnis in the DCEU, and do you think David Zaslav will stop the production of the Walter Hamada version of the DCEU? Mikey Sutton also said David Zaslav wants to replace Walter Hamada and Toby Emmerich and Anna Shroff with one person that could control the movies and HBO Max series. I don't really know. From what I remember hearing, again, I haven't kept up with the story for too long. I thought Walter Hamada was kind of on his way out. I thought that they weren't really satisfied with the leadership that he was providing, and they were looking to sort of replace him. I don't know. I honestly haven't heard anything about what's happened with that yet, if they found anybody or basically what they're going to do going forward. So I don't know. Again, I'll have to look into it, but your guess is as good as mine how that's going to turn out. All right, let me take a sip of H2O. Okay, in case you can't tell. All right, moving on now. Moving on. This is a story that, depending on if you're a gee, I didn't have the pay. Oh, it's all right. We'll save that story for another time, I guess. We'll talk about this one. Oh, Olivia Wilde. Oh, man. I can talk about Olivia Wilde until the cows come home. I don't know about you. I don't mind looking at Olivia Wilde until the cows come home either. But the story we have here is the current update on Spider-Woman. As you might remember, last August, we got word that Olivia Wilde was going to direct a Marvel movie for Sony Pictures, and she confirmed it was indeed about Spider-Woman. There hasn't been any updates about the project pretty much since, but the Illuminati has shared some news. Despite the initial trade reporting that Wilde, who will also write the script with Katie Silberman, may introduce a new character to take up the mantle, it sounds like we'll be seeing the original and best incarnation of the hero, Jessica Drew, in costume. The movie is expected to remain true to Drew's faithful comic book origin, possibly minusing Hydra's involvement. Well, that's because the movie is made by Sony, so I'm not sure if they're allowed to talk about Hydra. With the relationship they have with the MCU, I don't see why they couldn't include Hydra. I mean, you see what they're doing in, what was it, Morbius, where you had Michael Keaton make a cameo and all that stuff. It should be easy for them to at least name drop Hydra in the origin or something. Let's see. We're not sure if the studio has met with anyone for the role yet, but they are said to be seeking an actress between 25 and 35 to star. Now, again, I don't see why Olivia Wilde can't star. She's still young enough, right? What is she? I think she's about 37. They're looking for someone 25 to 35. I'm sure 37 is not too far off the reservation for her to manage. I mean, with the technical wizardry of superheroes, I mean, come on. We've got Indiana Jones still going strong near 80 and Michael Keaton near 70 as Batman. I'm pretty sure we can handle a 37-year-old Spider-Woman. But, of course, am I going to say that? Maybe I will. There's a difference between men and women in the movies. For some reason, they don't want a, shall we say, pushing 40 actress to be headlining a movie. I don't understand why. You know, it's interesting that the most closest that they've come to that was Amy Adams as Lois Lane, I think. She was clearly over 40 at the time, I think. 41, 42, something like that, when she got the role. And they didn't really have any misgivings about spending the next, allegedly what was going to be like the next 10 years of her playing Lois Lane. Of course, we had people like Grace Randolph complain and go hysterical, but in all reality, it doesn't happen that often. And it's a sad thing, too, because, like I said, I feel bad that Olivia Wilde hasn't gotten a chance to play a superhero. I think it's mostly because of her decisions, because I think she was approached for the role of Gamora. I know that, at least, and she turned it down. There might have been other roles, too, which I could see her as Gamora. The makeup might have been the the turnoff. All right, let's see. Sony has a lot of Spidey-centric movies in the works right now. There's a good chance that they'll tie together some way with the MCU. Let's see. The casting process is apparently beginning. So, what do you think about the Spider-Woman movie? Are you excited about the prospect of a Spider-Woman movie? Do you think, like I do, that maybe, just maybe, Olivia Wilde should play Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew? I think it's the best way to go. Let me know what you think in the comments below. All right. Let's see. Next up here. I keep pressing the wrong button today for some reason. So even though we seem to be on the ball, we are not. All right, let's talk about this one. They're at it again. The race changers have done it again. It's again the law. Snow White has found its titular heroine, as Rachel Zegler has been cast as Snow White. I want to let that sink in for a minute. Snow White. All right. Let's see. Deadline broke the news today to confirm that the production will begin in 2022 with Mark Webb, yes, of the Amazing Spider-Man fame, as director. Rachel's extraordinary vocal abilities are just the beginning of her gifts. Her strength, intelligence, optimism will become an integral part of rediscovering the joy in this classic Disney fairy tale. The filmmaker said in a short statement praising the lead in a movie that the trade says will expand on the story and music from the 1938 animated classic. Oh boy, I can't wait to see that. Disney is still doing this. It's like, I think the reason why they're doing this, everybody thought, I think at first, that it was just a money grab. I think it's more than a money grab. I think they want to reestablish their legacy for the next century. You know, it's not like, it's no longer the fairy tales that matter, and, you know, the family, the young at heart, all the things you think of when you think of Disney. Now it's going to be diversity, wokeness. I'm surprised, but, you know, I guess I shouldn't be surprised, because it's the same thing with the MCU. They started off, they tried to have a firm foundation by giving us what we expected. You know, a blonde Steve Rogers, a blonde Thor, you know, just really strong fidelity to the comics. And then all of a sudden, now it's like out of left field after like 3 phases. It's like, well, forget about the first, I don't know, 50 years. We've done that for 3 phases. Now let's concentrate on the last crappy 10 years. And it's funny because everybody was focusing on the movies during that period, because the last 10 years, comics have been terrible. And people looked at the movies and they said, why can't I see Tony Stark in the comics? Why do I get to see Ironheart? No, she's Iron Man. Whatever. And so now it's like, all right, well, it's in the comics, right? So we'll make movies out of it. We'll do TV streaming. And it's like, no, that's you don't get to do that. You don't get to force something into the comics so later on you could legitimize it and say, well, yeah, that's in the comics now. There's sort of like a, I call it the 10-second rule. You know, like when you drop a French fry on the floor, you supposedly have 10 seconds, I think, to pick it up. Isn't that what it is? It's kind of like the 10-year rule in comics. It's like if you've got a character being Captain America for 70 years, you can't just drop the French fry on the floor for, you know, 10 years in the comics and say, well, he did that in the comics for a couple of years, so that's what we're doing going forward. No, it don't work like that. Really, it don't work like that. Honestly. All right, so let me read some more of this copy. I don't even really want to, but here we go. Benj Pasek and Justin Paul, who worked on La La Land and The Greatest Showman, have been tapped to write new songs and reimagine the classics. That's right. I can't wait to see Boogie on Down Hi Ho. Or, you know, Moves Like Jagger, Wishing Well song. I don't know. They're just trying to modernized and woke up these Disney projects. It's just like, don't do it. You know what I mean? You could say it's a cash grab, and it's a cash grab to be sure, but who wants to see this? Well, as I was saying before, they started off pretty faithful to their original counterparts. Like, they started, I think I'm pretty sure the first one was Cinderella, right? And they did that pretty much. I didn't see it, but they did that pretty much by the book. It was a blonde chick, and the family was French and what have you. And then they did the Jungle Book, which, of course, you know, they weren't going to change Mowgli. He's still Indian. And Beauty and the Beast, which everybody kind of figured was going to ride on the coattails of Hermione, whatever her name is there, the actress. And then, of course, that's when the wokeness started, though, because then it became, the first gay character. We have to make LeFou gay because he couldn't just be, of course, this, nebbish little fanboy or whatever he was. But then after that, it's like, then it kept slowly building, right? It was like, I don't know what was next. Well, we had Maleficent early on. That's when they started, I think, trying to change the tenor of these things, like Cruella. We have to have the sympathetic villain stories. That's sort of another common trope that's going on now. Even Disney's buying into it. But anyway, yeah, this just should not be. I mean, we don't need remakes of the originals. You cannot improve on the originals. You cannot make the originals better. And all you're going to do is make them worse. They're going to be panned compared to the originals. Of course, we've already heard of the race change characters they got in the works. The Black Little Mermaid, I believe, is a Black Tinkerbell. Now a Latina Snow White. Again, heaven only knows where it's all going to end. Hopefully, it will be soon. All right, so let me know what you think in the comments below for Snow White or Snow Not So White, if that's all right. Let's see. Next up, let's talk about that Indiana Jones 5 news. Indiana Jones 5. Unfortunately, production had to be halted on Indiana Jones 5 when Harrison Ford suffered a reported shoulder injury during rehearsal of a fight scene. Now, this is pretty good. I'm glad he's at least getting a fight scene. I thought they were going to just act like he's Indy Tagalong, that Phoebe Waller-Bridge was going to be the big star of this, and he's going to be Tagalong Indy. All he's going to do is just sit in the car and complain. No, it looks like he's actually going to fight. He's actually going to be active, which at least that's a good sign, I guess, because, I'm not as hard on this movie as everybody else is. Everybody else is really harsh on it. I want to see an Indy 5, but it's like, it's got to be good. You know what I mean? And I don't trust Lucasfilm at this point to do anything right, to be totally honest with you. But again, if they can get, and again, I didn't dislike Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Now, the MacGuffin was stupid. I didn't like the aliens type MacGuffin, but it was still very much in line with the Indiana Jones franchise. That's all that you can ask for at this point, really, is can you keep it in line with the Indiana Jones franchise? I really don't want to see Indy in space or things like that, but just keep it to him having some kind of vehicle chase, has some kind of creepy crawly scene, have him fight a guy twice his size and win, and then, of course, the magical moment at the end of the film. That's basically all anybody really wants. Hopefully there's some familiar faces, as I said before. I hope they bring back Sala, Willie Scott, Short Round. How about Captain Katanga? He never got it really his due, I don't think. He never showed up again either. Give us a couple of, how these kind of final movie want to tie up the whole franchise things work. Have Indy have to cross paths with some of these people. And of course, Marion is a given, considering they're married at this point. So, I don't know. Make the brother of the Monkey Man a villain. He wants revenge after 40 years or something. I don't know. All right, so let's look at the copy. Let's see. The 5th Indiana Jones movie's been filming for the past couple of weeks in the UK. Production may have hit a setback as Deadline reports that star Harrison Ford has been injured while rehearsing a fight scene. Disney confirms in the course of rehearsing for a fight scene, Indiana Jones actor Harrison Ford sustained an injury involving his shoulder. Production will continue while the appropriate course of treatment is evaluated, and the filming schedule will be reconfigured as needed in the coming weeks. Sounds like director James Mangold intends to film around Ford until the extent of his injury can be determined. If it turns out that 78-year-old actor is required to take some time off to recover, it could obviously end up having a significant impact on the shoot. The story is still under wraps, but recently leaked plot details claim that the movie will be set in the 1960s during the space race, with Dr. Jones once again coming against his favorite foes, the Nazis. Mads Mikkelsen is believed to be playing the villain, and his character is described as a Nazi scientist enlisted into NASA by the United States to work on the space agency's moon landing initiative. Indy 5 will also star Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Thomas Kretschmann, Shawnette Renee Wilson, directed by Logan director James Mangold. John Williams will also return as composer. Indy 5 is set to hit theaters July 29th, 2022. Of course, that is all banking on Harrison Ford being able to keep the schedule without overgoing too late into extra hours. All right, so what do you think about this? You know, to me, this is like a bad omen. Honestly, the first time I heard about this, I thought, didn't Harrison have some kind of injury on The Force Awakens? And he was sidelined because a door came crashing down on his foot or something. I mean, I don't think the guy's accident prone, but it was a bad omen in that movie because it turned out to be a disaster for the Star Wars franchise. So if he ends up injuring himself here and has to be taken out, is this going to bode well for the rest of the Indy franchise, which I guess is comprised by this one movie? Only time will tell. All right, so let me know what you think in the comments below about Indy 5. All right. Next up, let's see. Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Or as I like to say, Shazam 2. We got some photos and a bit of a controversy brewing about this. Let's see. The first photo here, we got a couple of photos of on the set with Helen Mirren and Zachary Levi. Let's see. Helen Mirren plays the villainous Hesperia, who is the daughter of Atlas. Lucy Liu will be playing her sister Calypso. So, yeah, kind of a... in keeping with this franchise, they're having sort of a sort of funny lunch scene or something in the park or something. I don't know. It's very strange. It's also very strange seeing Helen Mirren getting this old. I guess that's just you know, that's just the way it goes. It's you know, she's kind of aged before our eyes, I suppose, in film. Zachary Levi, I don't know what it is about him. He looks different. Part of this, I guess, the costume, supposedly. I think it's his hair. He had some kind of, like, bob going on at the front of his hair last time, I think, and it's not there this time. I'm not sure. But they also released the images of the costumes. So let's take a look at those. All right, these are the new costumes. The costumes, I don't know. I don't think they look too bad. A lot of people are complaining about, oh, it's the desaturated colors again. They're making them darker, and I don't know. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, it's probably depending on the light, but the changes don't look too bad. I mean, it's very Superman-esque. Shazam's, you know, now the cape is down, you know, down to the Superman levels, and the texture of the costume, of course, is very Superman-esque. The Mary Marvel costume is the one I'm not sure about. They did a very faithful version of the costume for the first movie, and it's that kind of billowy 40s skirt, I think, sort of around the time the character was created, maybe 1950, something like that. They had that kind of billowy look, and they really capture that well for the movie. And in a way, it's like here they're doing that same leathery strap skirt like Wonder Woman has. And while that's probably more visually appealing, let's be frank, it's sexier. I don't know. I'm more of a purist where I feel like she should have the billowy skirt like like a 1950s, like Bobby Soxer kind of look. That's kind of what Mary Marvel looked like. And I feel the same way, of course, with Supergirl. I've always said Supergirl needs to wear like that cheerleader skirt, that little cheerleader skirt that you kind of see on the high school cheerleaders. That's Supergirl. She's supposed to be young and exuberant and sort of her style is betrayed by that, that look. And it's kind of the same way here. Mary Marvel was sort of created in the Bobby Soxer era, where she was kind of with that kind of not quite a hoop skirt, but with that kind of billowy skirt. I think that's probably the best way I could describe it. So I don't know if I'm disappointed in it, but it's still it's visually appealing. Let's put it that way. All right, now the part here that comes into the controversy that we're talking about is now, according to David F. Sandberg, Grace Fulton will now be playing Mary Marvel, formerly portrayed by Michelle Borth. By the way, let's see. From left to right, Adam Brody is Freddy, Megan Good as Darla, Ross Butler as Eugene, Zachary Levi as Shazam, Grace Fulton as Mary, and DJ Catrona as Pedro. But David F. Sandberg took to Twitter to say, Grace now plays both parts. Her hair and makeup is slightly different when she's super, so no one will ever recognize her. Hey, it works for Wonder Woman. Now, there is supposedly a more sinister reason why Michelle Borth is not playing the Mary Marvel. Let's see. Borth posted an image on Instagram that read, I don't know your name. I don't know anything about you. Were you a mother, a sister, a spouse? I know your life mattered, despite our striking difference of opinions. I know you are loved and will never be forgotten. I don't know who you are, yet my heart aches that you've been taken from this world so violently. My prayers and thoughts go out to all your loved ones. And the image concluded, your loss, your life fighting for something you believed in, and I'm mourning for you as a woman, a human being, a sister. Rest in peace, 1/6/2021. And of course, this is pertaining to, as Borth wrote at the bottom of this image, her name was Ashley Babbitt. Her name matters. So, of course, the woke ideologues took no time, to point this out. That had she not, and of course, from what little we know about Michelle Borth, which, by the way, let me put the image of her up. I got an image of her too. What we know of her, she was or is left-leaning, like pretty much 99% of Hollywood. She had Instagram posts also supporting Black Lives Matter, Pride Month, wear a mask. So it's not as if this is something that, well, I suppose it did. It sort of came out of left field. And, of course, the woke Twitter descended upon her over this because for some reason having an unarmed woman shot dead in the Capitol is not something to be concerned about, is not something to be feeling regretful about, as she basically is only saying some, regretful feeling here about this loss of life. But for some reason, that's not acceptable. I don't understand it any more than probably anybody with a brain. But this whole thing, and again, I, at the risk of getting, struck or whatever, because you're not allowed to talk about these things on Twitter, but this whole thing about January 6th is just so blown out of proportion. The supposed takeover of the Capitol, where a bunch of, I don't know how many, 25, 30 unarmed people went into the Capitol and kicked back and hung around, and the police just watched, and then suddenly things took a bad turn when it came to this one woman. For whatever reason, people are turning on anybody with any kind of question on why did this happen and why is it being allowed to happen. There's been we've got movement and what happened with George Floyd. Why isn't there anything happening on the Ashley Babbitt murder? I know Chevron, or whatever his name is going to jail for 22 years. I know that much. But then again, we don't even know the name of the person that killed Babbitt. So, again, this is supposedly, again, the WB hasn't come out and said anything about this. So, it's an ongoing story, as they say in the news. But it seems likely that the wrong thought was expressed here, and the wrong people didn't like the wrong thought, and she was removed from the movie. It's probably not going to make a huge difference in the long run, but again, it's just cancel culture at work again, cancel culture at its finest, and quite honestly, this kind of thing should not be allowed to go on. All right, we'll move on now. Shazam! Fury of the Gods is set to hit theaters June 2nd, 2023, without Michelle Borth. All right, so before we hit our cover story about The Flash, before we wrap things up, we still didn't talk about the Shang-Chi trailer, but that is another story that a lot of people were talking about excitedly in online. And I'll admit there's a very good-looking trailer. I'm interested in this trailer. I'm interested in this movie, I should say. I'm not sure really how great it's going to be, quite honestly. Like I said, when the first trailer came out, it doesn't really feel like it's that connected to the Marvel Universe. And this trailer tried to sort of address that, I think. And how successful it was, again, that remains to be seen. Because I think they're trying to make this sort of like the Asian Black Panther. They don't want to really delve too far into white America. And that's fine. I've always said that. I didn't have a problem with that with Black Panther. And if anything, I said they should have had less white people in Black Panther. I think it would have been even better to have a completely black cast. And here as well, it seems like it's predominantly Asian cast. I don't remember seeing any white actors in it at all. But the problem I'm having with this here is partially it feeling sort of generic. But again, that's because I think Shang-Chi is literally a D-lister. And I say that, and a lot of people will probably think, oh, you're putting him too far down the list. No, because if you want to be honest, Iron Man was a B-lister. Thor was a B-lister. The A-listers were Spider-Man, Hulk, X-Men. The B-listers were the Avengers, and they even admitted that when they were making the Avengers. They admitted that they took the B team and made an A team out of it. And so basically what we have here, if you want to say Iron Man is what would be the C team? The C team would probably be, I don't know, maybe Hawkeye, maybe Ant-Man. Those are ones that also have some name recognition, but nobody's going to really flock just to see those movies. Of course they have, but I mean, they're sort of on the lower tiers. Shang-Chi is completely at the bottom of the tier. Nobody really knows Shang-Chi. I think Shang-Chi is only a little bit better known than the Eternals at this point. I mean, if you tell me you read the Eternals, then you've got to be really inside baseball Marvel. If you tell me you read Shang-Chi, then you must have seen you know, him guest starring in Spider-Man or Avengers or something like that. He's not a character that's really carried his own, you know, book for quite for too long. He was really a response to, as a lot of these great characters from the 70s were, to trends. Kung Fu was out. We had the Bruce Lee genre coming out from, you know, Chinese cinema, with all that stuff. And it was a attempt to get in on that the same way as sort of like Luke Cage was an attempt to get in on the blaxploitation films and Shaft and all that stuff. So, you know, that's where diversity is used at its finest, because they, back in the 70s, they saw what was popular. They saw what was trending. They said, we don't see too many Asian superheroes. Well, wait a minute. What's out now? What's popular? We've got Asian cinema. We've got Asian television. We've got this genre that's sort of coming out that's fresh and exciting. Let's create a character that will fit in that genre. And they did the same thing with Luke Cage, and they've done various things through the years that sort of played to trends. I think Ms. Marvel originally was pretty much playing to that trend of feminism. And again, you know, 70s feminism was different than today's feminism. 70s feminism was still treachy and aggravating, but it was coming off the heels of, you know, social reform and so on and so forth. So they kind of were trying to tap into that, but even then it was seen through the prism of comics, of superheroes. They didn't try to, you know, reinvent the wheel and say, well, she can't be subordinate to a male superhero. Marvel was her predecessor, and so on and so forth, and things like that. So in this day and age, the concept of good storytelling goes out the window. It's just, it's quite frankly just the ideology. We don't worry about if the story makes sense. We've got to make sure the story ticks all these boxes. It doesn't matter. You know, it's like the Captain Marvel movie. Tell me about the Captain Marvel movie and tell me in one place where they went down a story road that was sort of a traditional story road for an emerging hero, for a hero origin. No. The hero, in this case, Captain Marvel, didn't have to learn anything other than she was great and the bestest. You know, she didn't have to rely on any man. She didn't have to learn any particular power or something. The villain was made weaker than her in order for her to just push him around. And they wouldn't get away with that in the 70s. They understood that you needed a story. You needed a challenge for the hero. The hero cannot make it easy. And the villain had to be a challenge to the hero. You know, they needed the sidekicks, they needed the mentors, they needed the props to help them out. And in this day and age, it's just woke ideology. It's just, we're going to prove that she don't need no man. We're going to prove that, you know, it's Black Power. We're going to prove that it's going to be a totally Asian movie. I mean, I don't want to bash Shang-Chi because I haven't seen it, and I don't think that this is the kind of film where they can do too much, you know, moralizing or whatever. I think Black Panther was somewhat guilty of it. You still had, but you see, the thing about Black Panther is they were able to vocalize a lot of that rhetoric, I guess, through Killmonger. And so while it did feel preachy at times, you have to realize it was coming from the mouth of a villain. And the problem was, of course, that a lot of people sympathized with the villain and was like, well, he was right, but he just went about it wrong. And no, you know, he's wrong. A villain is supposed to be wrong. I mean, you can have a villain like Magneto where they're coming from a place where you can understand why they're angry and why they want to do what they want to do. But you should always understand when the concept of evil is being expressed that it's evil. All right, let me talk more about the. I'm going off, of course, on a rabbit hole trail here, but let's take a look at a couple more images of the trailer because there was some cool stuff. There was some definitely cool stuff. A lot of people got excited about this image, thinking it was Fing Fang Foom. And of course, the lead actor here, Silo, what's his name? Oh, I don't think I got the notes here for his name, but the actor here, he said that Fing Fang Foom is not going to be in the movie. Apparently, probably because Fing Fang Foom, they find that offensive now. I don't know exactly why. But, who am I to say? But Fing Fang Foom was a talking dragon in the Iron Man comics, I believe it was. And basically that's what he was. I don't remember too many stories pertaining to the character. This is supposed to be the Good Protector, I think his name is, which is going to take sort of the place of Fing Fang Foom as the big huge dragon that's, I guess, protecting, judging by his name. But again, I think Fing Fang Foom had ties to the Mandarin. And again, I haven't heard them come out and call him the Mandarin yet in this film, judging by the trailers and stuff. But this whole thing about the 10 rings, apparently, just before I go into that, I would like the original Fing Fang Foom, and that would be nice. But the 10 rings, is this the real Mandarin? I hope it's the real Mandarin, but I don't think they're referring to him as the Mandarin. In this trailer, they got the 10 rings are sort of like the 10 armbands. And that's something that I wasn't too thrilled with. I think when you say rings, that you mean rings on fingers, and not like 5 armbands a piece on each arm. But I guess it could work. They're trying to. It's like trying to make his arms into cannons. You know what I mean? He can blast these energy beams out of his hands with these power bands. I don't know. I'd have preferred rings, but that's not what we're getting, I guess. And finally, this was the talk of the trailer. Yes, we're going to talk about this for a moment. There's some kind of cage fight scene, and apparently the Abomination has escaped from whatever hole they had him in after the Incredible Hulk after all these years. And look at his ears! Look at his ears! His ears finally grew. They actually look like they've done some work on this Abomination design where his ears are now like the comics. I don't like the fact that he doesn't have the brow. He's supposed to have that like heavy brow. That was another thing that I really liked with that design, because that's a great design. That Abomination design, that's one of the underrated villain character designs, in my opinion. That great, like, webbed ear, heavy brow, like pushed in nose, and then that what's it called? Scaly chin and everything. And they got him wearing the little whatever that kind of diaper thing is, which I like that idea too, because I don't like the way they had him naked in the Incredible Hulk, because I mean that kind of doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I mean, in the comics he was wearing underwear, so it's kind of like, yeah, he's got like the same thing as everybody else. I don't know. Anyway, so but yeah, this is a great design. I don't know exactly why he's cage fighting here, but apparently this is going, some are saying this is going to lead up to an appearance on the She-Hulk show. I don't know. I want to see him fight the Hulk. Again, they ruined the Hulk in Endgame, so having this guy go up against the Hulk is just like, it's going to be a disaster. It's going to be unreal. So anyway, but yeah, props for good redesign of Abomination, but I just want another Hulk movie, and then we're never going to get it, of course, because Universal holds the distribution rights. So Disney can't play ball with Universal, apparently. All right, so let me know what you think about the Shang-Chi trailer down below. And our final story, of course, of the night, the cover story. The Flash movie, we got a load of images from the Flash movie. And let's see, first up, we got, let's see, on the set here, this is a very familiar set. For some reason, let me, let's see. Okay, yeah, this is a familiar set. This is the set that, in Batman 89, one Michael Keaton had a scene with one Jack Nicholson, and it was, it was exciting to see this again, that we're back on the same area. As you can see here, Kirstie Clemens as Iris West, and apparently Barry Allen trying to explain something. I'm not sure what. He's got the Flash ring on, which pretty exciting. I mean, I'm excited to see the Flash ring. I've been excited to see that. And for some reason, he's very animated talking about whatever he's talking about here. I'm not sure exactly what it is. All right, let's see if I can find these other images, which I am trying to find as we speak. All right, oh yeah, here it is. Okay, so we've got our first image of Michael Keaton back as Bruce Wayne. Hello, these nearly 30 years. Is that what it is? Is it over 30 years now? I think it's over 30 years. But he looks great. He looks exactly the same, except for, maybe a couple of years. He held up very well. I think that's a toupee, though. I think that's probably quite obviously a toupee. But again, he looks like not much time has passed at all. And I could see very easily why they want him in the costume again, because a lot of people are saying, well, maybe they'll just have him as sort of a Batman Beyond. He'll be the man in the chair. Nah, we got to have this guy back as Batman. This is what we need. Now, again, I say many times, I didn't like the 80s Batman movies. I think Batman Forever was the best. And again, that might not say too much, really. But it was the best of the Batman films. But I always said I liked Michael Keaton's Batman. I like Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne as well. A lot of people say, Kilmer was a better Bruce Wayne and stuff. To be honest with you, they had Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne kind of a little bit more neurotic, but he kind of is still playing that same traditional Bruce Wayne. He's still playing that, when she asks him, do you know who Bruce Wayne is? And he goes, well, I'm not sure. I mean, that's kind of still that kind of cocky, arrogant Bruce Wayne that I could see, Christian Bale playing. Because I think Christian Bale probably played the best Bruce Wayne, where he kind of played him as sort of the cocky, arrogant, rich, ne'er-do-well playboy. But Keaton showed signs of that. It's just that it was a heavily laden role with a lot of psychological baggage that they wanted to put on him. Because at the time, you have to remember, in the late 80s, that became sort of the trend was to psychoanalyze the heroes. I suppose maybe it started with the Dark Knight Returns and things of that nature. But I know that when the time came for Batman 89 to come out on a large scale, people started questioning, well, is Batman really as bad as the Joker? He's as crazy as the Joker. What makes a man do this? And it kind of completely misses the point of the hero being altruistic, making a choice, making a difference, trying to make the world better. It kind of reduces him to, well, he's just as crazy as the Joker, but he's only going to kill bad guys. That's why I felt they never completely captured Batman. But I did like Keaton, in the role. I thought he was, he's a good actor. He's a very good actor. I remember, of course, I mentioned it before as well, but, there was, of course, a controversy when he was cast. People not thinking he could play, this is the guy that played Mr. Mom. He was Beetlejuice. He's going to play Batman. But I was confident because I could tell that he had that kind of steely-eyed determination. You kind of feel something when you see his Batman that I don't quite think any other Batman got across. Michael Keaton did more with a look than a lot of Batman actors did with a whole scene, with a whole line of dialogue or whatever. And that's why he's, I think, going to be, and pretty much is, remembered as the best Batman. I kind of make fun here of this scene, though. I don't know what this scene is about. He's, I don't know, talking to the press or something. And I can only imagine him saying something like, well, the report of my sending the strong man down the manhole with a bomb has been greatly exaggerated. I didn't know that the bomb was going to go off. I did set a clown on fire that one time on that Red Triangle gang incident, but that was just one time. Because quite literally, that Batman was a killing machine in those two movies. It was not Batman. And that drove a wedge between me and the Batman franchise, the live action movies, because they just didn't get it. Tim Burton just didn't get it. But of course, to Tim Burton's credit, and I've always said this, he was a great visual director. I mean, apparently he still is. I haven't seen any of his movies for like 10 years. Last one I think I saw was Alice in Wonderland. But of course, he's got a great eye for visual direction and the colorfulness of it. The Batman, they weren't afraid to go there. They made the bat wing shaped like a bat. You know what I mean? That's stuff we don't see today. Everything's got to be so realistic. It's grim, it's gritty, it's dark. Batman's not going to have a bat symbol on the bat tires of the Batmobile. Well, no, we still got that in Batman 89, and the Batmobile still had the scalloped fins and so forth. I don't think that was the best Batmobile, to be honest with you. I never really liked that torpedo or missile looking thing in the front. I thought the animated series was better, and several versions from the comics were better, but it was still, it functioned as a pretty decent Batman. I'm a Batmobile. So as I said as well online, I hope people are willing to give Michael Keaton a chance to go forward here as Batman, that they're not giving Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones, because Harrison Ford keeps pretty much being brought up as ridiculed every time Indiana Jones comes up. He's going to be 80 years old. All right, so this is another scene or another shot that I got just moments before I did the program. This is Bruce Wayne in his car. Apparently in this version as well, I suppose Alfred is gone, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do with him now that he doesn't have basically anybody to fall back on. Of course, the actor playing Alfred, Michael Gough, passed on about 4 years ago now, something like that. And I think the actor playing Commissioner Gordon, I can't remember his name. He passed on quite a while back. That's more like 7 or 8 years ago. So, this might be the solo Bruce Wayne now at this point, unless they're going to go, deep into the story and start talking about how he actually had a Robin and a Batgirl in his life and so forth. I don't know if they're going to take any of that from the Schumacher films. I would guess not, because they weren't embraced quite that well. But and of course, one more bit here. As exciting as it was to see Michael Keaton return as Bruce Wayne, as much as I'm looking forward to that, we did still have to deal with the introduction to the new Supergirl. Yeah. The Supergirl nobody really asked for. Now, apparently, we all knew that they probably weren't going to go with the traditional Supergirl. They weren't going to go with the blonde, with the, like I said, the cheerleader skirt and all that. They had to go woke. They had to go woke. She had to have the short hair. She had to have the, the full length body costume, the body stocking thing. This weird, a lot of people are calling it like a Spider-Man looking costume. And again, it's starting to become another trend where what they're doing is they're trying to say, well, look, it's in the comics. You can't complain it's in the comics, because 2 years ago they tasked some woke writer and said, give us the Latina Supergirl, and you know, make her have short hair, give her a complete costume that covers her from head to toe, so that when 2 or 3 years down the line we want to make the movie, all the fanboys who always said, "You're changing it, you're race changing it, the costume don't look the same." No, now we can say, well, it was like that in the comics during this small run between, you know, 2016 and 2017 for about 4 or 5 months here. They completely are missing the point. You're not going to satisfy fans on a technicality. The technicality here is that, oh, okay, well, there is one in the comics. That's the same thing when you look at they want to do a black Superman movie. Well, there is a black Superman in the comics. It's Earth 23 and this and that. And that's fine. I can understand you're not changing something. But you also have to remember, is that what fans really want to see? Did fans want to see a sort of niche character that's in a small arc in a series somewhere, or did they want to see the actual hero, one that's been around for 70 years? Do they want to see Supergirl that's been around for 70 years, or do they want to have the Supergirl that was out maybe 3 years ago in a arc that was hidden somewhere in a canceled book? That's the problem. The problem is you're not going to satisfy fans by saying, well, look, it's in the comics. That's not going to fly anymore, because the comics have been so bad for so long. It's just, there's no point to it. There's no point in going back the past 10 years. Why do I want you to put something on screen that you had in the books 10 years ago when the books for the past 10 years have been crap? I don't want you to go back and try to find something that was specifically designed to replace the default version, the version of a character that everybody loved, that version that everybody came to love by reading them and going back into their 70-odd year history or whatever, not just giving us something like this. Well, this is Supergirl now. Oh, okay. This is woke Supergirl. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much further people are going to go with this. Now, again, this is not going to rock my world that badly. I mean, I'm still probably going to see this one because A, Michael Keaton, B, The Flash. I didn't really have too much of a problem with him. I mean, a lot of people hated Ezra Miller's Flash. I didn't particularly think it was great. I mean, let's face it, Grant Gustin's doing a lot better on the CW, and his show isn't even that great. But Grant Gustin is a great Flash. Ezra Miller is not playing Barry Allen the way I think he should be playing him, but I'm willing to give him a chance to see if they can coax something good out of him. And of course, Michael Keaton makes it, and the Batman makes it a must-see right there. Of course, they say Grant Gustin might be in the film. So, you know, I'm not going to pass this one. This is a play for me. I'm going to play on this one. Hopefully it turns out pretty good. So let's see. What's the scorecard read? Let's see. We said Snake Eyes, probably a pass in theaters. Suicide Squad, hard pass in theaters. Shang-Chi, I'm going to play. I like that one. That looks good. I'm going to play. The Flash, play. I'm going to see it. I'm going to see it. I want to see the Michael Keaton on the big screen again. I saw both of his movies on the big screen. Be great to see him again. Same thing goes for Spider-Man. Now, they're going to have the Spider-Man trailer allegedly out before the Black Widow movie. And they're still not confirming if it's going to have Tobey Maguire, although we already heard it's going to have Jamie Foxx's Electro. It's going to have Alfred Molina. Of course, these are probably not big roles, but if Tobey Maguire Spider-Man's in it, and there's all reason to believe he will be, I'm going to see it just for the, just for the Tobey Maguire scenes. Of course, the last 2 Spider-Man movies have been trash. I mean, you got some good performances. Like I said, Michael Keaton was good in the first one. And then you had, I didn't think Jake Gyllenhaal was bad. Tom Holland is good. Everything else surrounding those films are terrible. They're trash. And it's kind of the way I feel like I think this Flash movie is probably going to turn out. It's going to be sort of like what the MCU was trying to do there. It's going to be just a mishmash of the old and the new, and the new is probably going to look like trash compared to the old, but at least we'll get to see the old again for a few minutes. One of the things that crossed my mind in this film that I don't think anybody else has mentioned is, why don't we have John Wesley Shipp in this film? It is called The Flash, and so far they've mentioned every other Bat actor under the sun. Oh, Michael Keaton's going to be in it. Ben Affleck's going to be in it. We're going to try to get Christian Bale back in it. I don't know about Val Kilmer. But, quite honestly, it's a Flash movie. We're going to deal with the 90s Batman with Michael Keaton. Let him meet the 90s Flash, John Wesley Shipp. That's the only way. That's the only way. That's got to be the way it goes. And I know they're going to act like, well, they killed him off in Crisis on Infinite Earths. Yeah, but, we're talking about the Flash. We're talking about timelines. We're talking about alternate universes, alternate realities. As much as that was like a poetic send-off to the 90s Flash, again, I don't like seeing my heroes, my childhood heroes, being killed. Flash was one of my biggest heroes. I love that show. John Wesley Shipp's Flash, to me, was the bomb, so to speak. And I didn't really want to see him die. I didn't really want to see him go. Now, it was a nice scene. It was poetic, and, it was from the comics. That's how important it is. It's from the comics, so I understand it. All right. But that doesn't mean you can't ever use him again. I mean, he's an actor. I'm sure he can put the suit back on for this role. And you could have the Flash from, I guess there's only 3, but the 3 live incarnations of the Flash show up in this movie and all help to do different things. Now, he doesn't have to die in this movie, since we already covered that ground. But, yeah, that's something that I would really love to see. All right, so let me know what you think. Do you think this sort of woke-looking Supergirl is something you're looking forward to in this film? The costume looks lousy, but then again, of course, this is a behind-the-scenes image. I'm pretty sure it's not going to look quite that bad with the padding and everything. I'm sure she'll probably have a cape. But, yeah, it just... I feel bad for her, but... Then again, it's kind of like what Eric July was saying. I've seen one of his more recent videos where he said, there's no self-respect for a lot of these actors and actresses, though. When they're race-changing these characters and these things, why don't they just say no? And, because Eric July was like, if they asked me to play, Superman or something, he would say no. And that's kind of the way you would hope that more people would be like. But this is still apparently a trendy thing to do now in the woke world we live in, where if you're offered to play Superman and you're black, that's fine. If you're offered to play Snow White and you're Latina, it's fine. If you're, if you're offered to play Aquaman and you're Asian or whatever, it'll be fine. It's like, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take for people to realize that they're just assigning like the sloppy seconds to these minority actors just to score woke points. It's not what the fans want. And the results are very rarely satisfying. All right, so I will keep you folks no longer. I want to thank Hunter Iggy for joining us in the chat. Always fun to see folks in the chat. We have them once in a while, only once in a while, but I'll always read the chat. I always read the comments the week after, if you leave me any comments for this week. We usually do about an hour show. We went a little over this week. I even had another topic, but we'll see if we can save that for another time. Because we weren't on last week, so sometimes that happens. It goes a little overtime. But yeah, let's see. Next week, next Saturday, I don't know if I'm gonna try to do a live appearance at the flea market, so I may or may not be back next week. So if I'm not back in time, let me say happy 4th of July now. Happy Independence Day. I'm going to try to do a show, though, next week at some point. Hopefully there's some cool stuff to talk about. And again, check out The Adventures of Bullets, Bourbon, Private Eye. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, as the crawl has been telling you all day. Thank you for watching. I appreciate each and every view and each and every sub. The subs are still going up. Please If you haven't subbed yet, hit that subscribe button and tell all your friends to subscribe as well. And so, until next we meet, this is Johnny Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.